about the Chris Eubank and Conor Benn fight and the undercard. I'm going to go through it round by round. I've wrote my notes for those who haven't listened to the show on Spotify, or which is the first show I'll be doing on my own today, which will be going on YouTube. I look at my notes because I write notes down over the rounds, and I go through it and give you my view on it and that, whether it's right or wrong. But this is what I think. I think, as fans, we've all got our own opinion, haven't we? So let's start with a bit about the Chris Eubank and Conor Benn. So it was meant to be fighting over a year ago now, because it was 14 months that Conor Benn was out for. So you say over a year ago they were meant to fight. Obviously it didn't go ahead because Conor Benn had meant to have had a substance in his body. Whether he did or he didn't, like I always say, there's only one person that really knows, and that's that person. Bit like Mikhailo Mudryk for Chelsea, who's done a lie detector and it's been proven he hasn't done it. But Conor Benn didn't do it, so there's always still going to be their argument. So that fight obviously didn't go ahead, and then they rearranged it, and then so the ball was in Chris Eubank's court this time, wasn't it? Because of all that incidents, and I was quite surprised about the hydration and all that come along with it. And obviously Chris Eubank missed weight, didn't he? And it was minor what he missed the weight with. It was when I watched the clip from Johnny Nelson, and what he said, it was a AAA battery or something like that he was overweight, and he got fined £375,000 for that. I think it comes to about $500,000 if you're watching in America. And not only on top of that, he had a £100,000 fine already. So you're looking at Chris Eubank, it's £475,000 down before this fight has even started. So it had drama before it, but we'll get more onto that fight in a bit. I think we'll start with the first fight, and the first fight was Chris Billingsmith versus Brandon Glayton. I don't know anything about Brandon Glayton. Normally I'd write a bit down, have a bit of read up about him, but last night I was watching it with a few friends, so it was just a case of writing the notes down for each round. So normally I would give a bit of in-depth to it, but so I didn't know much about Brandon Glayton, sorry. So looking at my notes, so going into round one, it was a lively first round. Both got up close, tried to both traded. Bellingham Smith landing the heavier punches and getting some lovely body shots in. He was, he come off better in that round for me. Round two, Glayton come out firing in this one. He was holding a bit. Another up close, fast-paced fight. It was a fast start pace. I mean, they were going at each other a bit, standing up close and fighting, weren't they? For those who didn't see it, they were standing up there a bit close and fighting and getting in amongst it. Bellingham Smith landing some nice hooks, even going to the body at times. And another third round. So this is sort of becoming more of a pattern now, wasn't it? Another close-up fight, and you'd say that was more Glayton getting a bit up close. It always has to be said why I remember that the ring mat was causing problems. The centre of the ring, the advertisement on there was causing a lot of problems last night. They did seem to sort it out in the end, but this fight more so, Glayton was slipping a hell of a lot on it. He had new boxing boots on, and they weren't fully gripping very well. So what are we up to? I think we're up to round three. Sorry if I've done this one already. So another close up. Another hold in at times. Both fighters landing big shots in this round. I had Billingsmith Smith 2 rounds up at this point. After the first, so I reckon I gave the first one an even round, because it's one of them sometimes, or a lot of times in fights, you find that it's a working out round, a bit of a battle of the jabs to see what you've got, and I'll show you what I've got, and vice versa, and all that rubbish. So yeah, so going into round 4, Billingsmith Smith was looking to get a bit of distance this time, and was looking, but Clayton again was looking to smother to stop Billy Smith landing in punches, because Billy Smith did have the heavier hand and the heavy hitting out of them both in this. And it was a good fight this one. Round 5, I still have Billy Smith winning this fight at this point. It was a quieter round compared to the others, but towards the back end, they were both started to land heavier punches, which was nice to see, getting in there amongst it and fighting, because that's what we are there watching it for, aren't we, really? It's a bit boring when it's a bit of not a lot of action going on. And this fight did have action in it. So going into round 6, we're at the halfway point now. Billy Smith was landing lovely shots in this round. To the body, a nice few uppercuts coming in there, and Clayton was slipping at this. So yeah, so this is where Clayton's slipping starting to really come into this fight, and he was struggling quite a bit. He had that knee bandage on. Excuse me a minute. And so yes, it sort of slipped quite a bit. Obviously, the sweat had landed on the ring a bit more, and it was making it more slipperier. And so, yeah, so Billy Smith was winning a lot of these rounds for me, if I'm quite honest here. Clayton wasn't doing enough work for me to be winning rounds. I'm not saying he lost every round, but for me, it was more Billy Smith looking the better fighter. So going into round 7, Clayton slipped again. But yeah, so I'm in notes there. So going back to this, so Clayton slipped again, but definitely heard a punch land this time. You could hear the echo of the thud. And so, was it a knockdown? Wasn't it a knockdown, or was it more of a slip? Who knows? It could have been a bit of both in that round. Another good round for Billy Smith. He was landing more punches, and Clayton was smothering his work, I felt. And that was a pattern through most of this fight. I felt he was smothering a lot of his work. Whether he was struggling with the ring or what, I don't know, or the new boots, but he certainly, for me, was smothering his own work, because he had some good work. He'd done some good work in the fight, but wasn't enough to win the rounds for me. So we're going into round 7. Round 8, sorry. Again, Billy Smith winning the round. Again, holding from Clayton. Both fighters were holding a bit more, because I think the pace of the fight was fighting. They were getting a bit more tired at this point, and so a bit more holding was going to come in then. But Billy Smith was flying more and landing more again. So, you know, is it another round to Billy Smith? That was the pattern for most of the fight. So going into round 9, another round to Billy Smith for me. Although they both was holding, but again Billy Smith throwing and landing more. Sorry, I think I might have done that round. So going into sorry about that. Going into round 10, both feeling the pace again. It was starting to show a lot more. You know, it was fought at a high pace, and there's a lot of wrestling, and that can take a lot of energy away when you're wrestling and grappling. I mean, you imagine you stand there and you're having a muck around with your mate, and you're pushing and shoving and pulling around and all that, and it is quite tiring, isn't it? So you could see why they get tired in the boxing ring with it, can't you? So yeah, so let's have a little quick look at the notes. What have I put here? So Clayton was looking the more tired, I've put down here in my notes. So yeah, going into round 10, I've got him in notes here that Clayton was starting to look like he needed some knockdowns at this point if he was going to have a chance to go on and win this fight. And I couldn't really see that coming. It didn't look like he had the power to knock him out, whether he's tired or not. Like I say, I don't know what he's like as a fighter, Clayton. I've never really seen him. But it was starting to look like he didn't have the power or the skills to beat Billy Smith. It did look like he was struggling at times, but more I'd say more so with the tiredness that he was struggling with. Maybe it was the pace. Maybe he wasn't used to the pace, because it was a highly fought pace fight, especially to start with, shall I say. So going into round 11, I've put down here Clayton walked onto some beautiful uppercuts. He was the busier in this round. So yes, I think So Clayton, he got a bit more busier in this round, and I think he knew he had to put a lot more into it to go on to win the fight or get something out of it. So he really went for it. Not really went for it, but he put more into it. Going into the final round, so at this point he definitely needed a knockout to go on to win this fight, and it wasn't going to come. He couldn't really see it through the fight, but you never know, mate. It could be that one lucky punch that you land where you land on that dig, and there you go. It could be that could wobble you or put you down. But he wasn't showing no signs of that. He didn't do enough to win the fight for me, and he was holding too much. Maybe it was because of the boots, maybe it wasn't because of the boots. And rightly so, Benn and Smith went on to win that fight. And now that was the second best fight of the night for me. The other ones, I mean, there were good boxing, skilled fights, but how can I explain? It was a bit boring and dull at times, but not dull enough not to want to watch the fights. And so, yeah, so we'll move on to fight 2, and that's Vidal Riley versus Chevron Clark. One being Tottenham, and that's Vidal Riley. The other one being Arsenal. So you got the football rivalry there, because them two do not like each other. Them teams do not like each other. So there was a bit of need already in this. So let's have a look at my notes. So, like I say, normally a round 1 is a working out round, and this is what it seemed to be. Both fighters to start off with the lever. Both fighters started to throw the lever, and I had to call this round. Oh, sorry, let me read my note. Hard one to call. So yes, sorry, it's a hard one to call, that one for me, which tends to be normally in the first round. In fights, it wasn't not much action. And looking at me round 2 notes, there ain't much here. So I'll look at this one. Both fighters looking very evenly matched. Not much landing, and yes, not much landing in this round. The odd 1-2. Yeah, so it was a bit of a slow start to this fight, and going into round 3, Riley starting to bring his jab in, and he started to work on the outside. He was landing more 1-2s, getting into his groove, landing a nice uppercut to the body. Clark landing some nice shots himself. Yes, Vidal Riley, at one point he switched up a bit. He started boxing on the outside, using his ring movement and coming in with the odd shot, bang, 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 1-2, a pop shot, move away, sort of thing. So, going into round 3, Riley was slipping a bit in this fight. Again, the canvas caused him a bit of problems, and they were saying on the commentary that they need to put something down, roughen it up. It's not the first time we've seen this in boxing. It does happen, but it can be very dangerous. I mean, that one slip could really do some damage to your knees. You know, you could do some serious injury, and it looks, you know, so it wasn't good to see them, because they're putting their lives on the line as it is in the fight. So yeah, so Riley was slipping in. Riley got a body shot, and yeah, so Riley had Chevron done a body shot, I believe, from my notes. So yeah, so Riley recovered well from that, and got behind the jab again, but both were landing shots. It was a very even fight at this point for me. Sorry, I do have to explain. I do read my notes because I can't always remember everything I was going to say. Eventually, I will probably start doing live commentaries on YouTube while the fights are on. It's something I will be looking to do in the future, because it'll be a lot easier, because then I can talk about it as the fight's going on. So going into round 5, it seemed to be, it was the advertising, like I explained before, in the middle of the ring that was causing problems. So obviously nothing really happened much in that round. Because I ain't put many notes on that, and it's not, it weren't much action. It just wasn't enough throw, and it was more pop, shotting, bang, bang, and there's not a lot you can really say about it. Yeah, it's nice when they land the combinations, it's just good and pop shotting, but for me, I like to see them stand there and have a trade off and go for it. But listen, some fighters ain't like that, are they? They're not made for that, and you got to do what you got to do to win out there. So what we're going into round 6. So again, like I said before, Riley was using the outside of the ring, throwing his combinations. Clark was standing in the middle, following Riley around a lot. It was another close round, but the commentaries had Vidal Riley sort of running away with it. Score it how you felt. I thought there wasn't much in these rounds, to be honest with you. Going into round 7 now. You could have the argument that Clark was chasing the fight, and that is why people had Riley, like I was saying here, why you had Riley run away with it. I could see that, but I thought the rounds were close, like I said before. But was Riley starting to take control? I'm going to say yes, he was starting to take control. Sorry, I think actually the commentators, all the viewers had Clark winning, to which I thought I had Riley winning because he was taking more control of the fight from me and landing more punches. So going into round 8, so yeah, this fight was starting to look like Clark was chasing Riley around the ring, and Riley was picking him up using that lovely movement. So yes, he did have lovely movement. Yes, he had the lovely 1-2 pop shot, bam bam, move away, and he had it all. And that was what was winning the fight for him, and turned it around for him, because Clark was having to chase that fight for himself. So yeah, round 9 I gave that round to Clark because it was the best one he'd had in a while. He closed the gap, he got to Riley more. That came after the fight got put on hold because again, the fight got put on hold, and the ref come in. Remember, he's wiping the ring, wasn't he? And that sort of gave Clark enough time to adjust, and he come back well in that round actually. So that was round 9. So round 10, Riley got back to the jab and the moving, landing his shots, moving off. It was looking like a frustrating night for Clark. Yeah, because if you're one of them fighters that got chased and you want to stand there and trade, and you're up against a boxer, it's going to be frustrating for you. Frustrating night's work for you, isn't it? So, yeah, excuse me, and that's how it was looking to be more for Clark. So going into round 11 towards the end, Riley walked Clark onto a lovely shot. The legs did wobble a bit. Interesting to see how he came out for the final round. So yeah, Riley, he nailed a lovely shot, and Clark wobbled a bit. I thought, oh, we've got to look how is he going to come out in the next round. And he come out, he looked fine. He wasn't fazed by it. Could have been a bit of tiredness, it could have been a little bit of wobble, but it wasn't hurt seriously. And Clark, he was back to chasing Riley around the ring, and rightly so, because if you're Riley and you feel like you've won all them rounds, you're not going to get involved with dust up. You're going to pick him off, jab, jab, 1-2, and you're going to move around and stick to what you do, what has been winning you them rounds. So overall, I put you would have to give the fight to Riley, like I said, because the things I've explained, and rightly so, he did go on to win that fight. It wasn't the classic, but like I say, sometimes you've got to do what you've got to do to win, and it was one of them fights that Riley done what he had to do to win. So, fight number 3 was Liam Smith versus Aaron McKenna. Liam Smith coming from that great fighting family, the Smith family from Liverpool. They come from a great amateur boxing club. And so, yeah, really looking forward to this one. Can't say I'd seen Aaron McKenna fight before, but then I did recognise him when I see his face. I had seen him before, and you would have thought Liam Smith by far the more experienced fighter, but let's not forget Liam Smith's been in there with some top fighters and been in some real hard fights. He had that second fight with Eubank where, you know, he didn't really turn up. Maybe it was because of injuries and whatnot. And he's been in there with Canelo. Well, both Smith brothers have been there with Canelo, that being Callum. So yeah, so this one I thought it was going to be a good learning curve for Aaron McKenna, looking the far younger fighter. Yeah, so I didn't really know what to expect in this fight. So round 1, I've got the round. It was a quiet round, clever round from Liam Smith. Yeah, he was using the ring and using his amateur skills to close it off and all that. And it's sort of working out McKenna. That's the way it's looking. McKenna was also looking to work out Liam Smith and what he can do. He was landing the shots more, I probably would have said in that one. So, yeah, so McKenna was quite a tall fella. He had a real long reach. He certainly will outgrow that middleweight weight very soon. And with the size of the chap. But he was starting to use his long reach well and had a lovely jab. I must say he had a lovely jab. Smith was standing in front of him. He was using that slight little movement, little adjustment, little step back, and the movement. And it was a nice bit of slipping from him, I must say. So, going into round 3. So this round, McKenna was starting to land a cleaner shot. So he's starting to get to Smith now at this point. It was looking like Smith had him worked out, but he didn't really, because McKenna was starting to pick him off. And that was the pattern for most of that fight. And it was hard to see, really, because Liam Smith looked like he had aged in that fight. He had aged in that fight. And McKenna, being the younger man, who was really starting, he was picking him off. And it was a real, I want to say, it was a great performance, a real good performance from McKenna. And it was nice to see. He had a great boxing skill. He didn't carry much power. Whether he was holding back, I don't know what he was doing. But eventually, if he can get some power behind him, he could be a very, very dangerous fighter with that boxing skill that he has. Okay, so what we're going into round 3. McKenna was starting to land the cleaner shots, moving really well. He was winning the rounds, but more so in the round 3, he had a lovely jab. So again, like I say, he's getting behind his jab, and he was really landing the cleanest shots. So yeah, this was starting to look like a miles on the clock fight for Liam, like I had said. And McKenna looking a younger and fresher fighter. That was my notes for round 4. So pretty much everything I just went into detail there. That was starting to look how it was starting to look for Conor. Liam Smith. Sorry, getting a bit muddled up there. So round 5 notes. Although Liam Smith was cutting the ring off, McKenna was looking the better, younger, fresher fighter, picking Liam off every time he got close. And Liam had a cut above his eye at this point, and that was caused from a head clash. And like I'm probably going to repeat, this is sort of becoming the pattern of the fight. So I'll have a quick read of the notes, what I put, because there could be something in there surprising that I might have forgotten about. So it's always good to have some notes and read over it and go through it, isn't it? So we're going into round 6 now. We're getting halfway into the fight. McKenna. So yes, a good little read. So McKenna had a point taken off at this point in the fight. I think it was holding him down, but it was tippy-tappy punches throughout the fight for McKenna. lucky enough for Smith, it was really, because it was starting to look like, you know, if McKenna could punch, it could have been really, really brutal for Liam Smith. So in a way, it was lucky for Liam Smith that he was just a tippy tapper, pick him off sort of puncher. Uh, um, but it was a nice, lovely boxing to watch from McKenna. And like I say, yeah, he's picking him off. So round 7, a more better round from Liam Smith. He sort of put his foot on the gas a bit more and got onto it. But again, it was still very hard to give him this round again, because McKenna just looked like he was in a sparring match. So that's what I put down for round 7. He was looking like he's in the sparring match, and he was just match, and it was getting easier for him. Not, well, yeah, he was getting easier for him, because Liam Smith was there to be hit, and yeah, when someone's in front of you and it's easy to hit, and he was just simply picking him off more and more. Once you get a bit more tired, obviously it's a bit harder to slip and slide them punches and move and duck and dive and weave and bobble and weave and all that and get away from it. So round 8, McKenna started to put some, so he got a bit more meat behind his punches this time. In round 7, it was sad to see again, as Liam Smith was getting outclassed. So it's a bit sad to see when it's someone you watch for years and you've always appreciated watching, because I do appreciate all them Smith brothers. It's been a joy to absolutely watch all them. Callum Smith being the better one out of them all. But all in their own rights, they've all done some great achievements. For those who don't know, go and have a watch over the YouTube. I mean, the older brother Paul was in there with James DeGale and Jules Groves. He did lose to him, but you know, you could say at that time they were the top 3 super middleweights in Britain, and him being the 3rd. So you know, they are a great fighting family, but they're all either retired or coming to the back end of their careers now, and they've been around for so long. Alright, just got to catch up with the notes. So what we're going into, round 8, McKenna starting to, well, it was red. So yeah, Liam Smith was still game. He was coming forward for it, but it was much the same. And like I say, the pattern was pretty much all the way same through the fight. McKenna in going into round 10, McKenna was so McKenna was like a switch hitter. Liam Smith was really needing a knockout at this point, and he can carry a bit of power, Liam Smith, but it wasn't looking like he had the power in that fight to go on and do it. And so I skipped round 11, I think, because it's pretty much all the same. And going into round 12, Liam Liam got put down by a body shot in this round. He could have been in serious trouble. But unfortunately, it looked like Liam was a fighter that had aged a lot. He was beaten by a younger fighter, and back in his day, Liam Smith probably was that fighter that was beating a man coming towards the end of his career. And it's one of them things, you know, in sports or in life, where the younger man is and younger fighter is looking the fresher and the better, and it was sad to see. So maybe he will hang up his gloves after that fight, who knows, but he certainly looked a lot aged during that fight. So right, so we're going into fight 4. So this is Anthony Yarde versus Lyndon Arthur. It was 1-1. I see the first fight, it was just after COVID, and Anthony Yarde had been through so much in that time. He lost a few people in his family. And so yeah, it was a hard time for him. He ended up losing to Lyndon Arthur. They had a rematch, and Anthony Yarde come back and beat him by knockout. So this was the 3rd and final fight, I would say, because it wasn't a great fight, this one, I must admit. Another one that was a bit dull and boring at times, had a bit of action in it. So round 1, we note was a battle of the jabs, which turns to be in the first round, like I always say, it's a working out round. Yard was looking to drop to the body and do a 1-2 in that round. Round 2 was much the same. Arthur was using his, and like Lyndon Arthur's very tall and lanky, and he's got a great long jab on him, and he can cause a lot of trouble with that by holding a fighter off with using that long jab. And that was and Yard was being the hunter and looking to land the big shots. Yard is a knockout artist. He's more of a knockout puncher, isn't he? For those who haven't watched Anthony Yard, like they call him the Beast, basically. So round 3. So I had Yard starting to take control of this fight at this point. By that I mean he was landing a more variety of punches after throwing short. Throwing more shots over than the jab this time. Yes, he started getting to the body a bit more and the face, landing the 1-2s as the points Lyndon Arthur was. So yeah, going into round 4, Lyndon Arthur comes out and lands a 1-2 and a hook after that. So the old nice 1-2 hook, that was nice. He landed 2 in that round, but Yard was starting to fire off with the big shots. It was a tight fight, but so far the fight for me was going towards Yard at that point, and like I say, he was throwing them all with a variety of punches. I mean, some he was missing because he was throwing well, but Yard had the look like he wanted to get Lyndon Arthur out of there quick, knock him out again and be done and go. Because like they say in the boxing, they don't get paid for overtime, so why not? So round 4, it was much the same. Lyndon Arthur was using the jab and Yard being the hunter and trying to land the knockout punch like I just explained. So going into round 6, he started to get a bit up close, which I'll get into that as the fight goes on, because this is where I thought, wow, this is a bit clever from Anthony Yard, what he was doing. It may have looked boring and dull and where they're just sitting on each other and holding, getting up close. But when I watched it a bit more, I thought, you know what, actually, and I'll get into that in a bit. So what we're going into round 6, halfway point, up close fight, but pushing up against each other in this round, and Yard did catch Arthur with a lovely shot. Going into round 7, so much the same in this round. The referee even step in and saying, look boys, get on with it and do something, you know, stop just standing there and rubbing up against each other. And Lyndon Arthur was sort of moving into like positions to get in the way to stop Yard getting in and doing his work. So it was clever boxing on the inside from Lyndon Arthur too. And it was sort of looked like they were smothering the work, what needed to be done. And this is where I'll get to that point in a bit with Anthony Yard, what I think he was trying to do. So going into round 8, a better round from both fighters, both fighters landing, done really good shots. Arthur landing a lovely 1-2 again. At the end of the round, Yard was landing, but still up close and smothering his work. He was better at distance, but I think he was worried about the jab. So yeah, so this is where I was starting to realise what Yard was doing. I think because that's Lyndon Arthur's main tool in boxing is his jab. He's got a great jab, and like I say, he's got a lovely long reach. So you think that's going to be hard to get to when someone's popping that jab out in your face, and with that long reach when you can go low, high, you know. So I think that's what Yard was doing. He was stopping him doing that, and that's why he got up close, because that was the scoring points for Lyndon Arthur mainly, is his jab. So that's what I thought. Actually, that's quite clever from Yard, what you're doing now. Get what you're doing now. You are neutralising his main asset. So we're going around 9, another round much the same. Back to sitting in each other. A nice bit of movement from Yard. Yes, Yard was like It's like he was on a punch bag. He was going bang bang and then switching bang bang to the other side and then switching bang bang to the other side and then switching bang bang to the other side. So he's moving side to side and throwing his punches. Not much was doing much damage, but that's what Yard was doing. So going into round 10, another close-up round, sitting on each other, more of trading with each other at that point. Going into round 11, after looking to yes, at the end of round 11, in half looked like it could be getting stopped. Like he looked like he was struggling. There was a body shot that went in, and it really sort of done some damage, a bit of damage to half where it took the wind out, and he just sat on the ropes. And he you know, he could have at some point looked like he could have been stopped. He wasn't, so who knew what he was going to come out for or be like at the end of the round in round 12. So yeah, so in my notes, this is where I sort of clocked what he was doing and understood what he's doing. So I thought it was quite clever. Whether it's boring or not to some people, where they're just sitting at each other and not much action. But like I say, Yard was stopping after using his main tool. Yeah, that was... yeah, so that's what I put in my notes. Excuse me. So, yeah, so at the end of that, yeah, I had to give that to Anthony Yard. He landed the more punches, and rightly so, he was the winner. Right, so now we're on to the main event, and that is Chris Eubank versus Conor Benn. We've had the drama with the eggs, we had the drama with the weight, we've had all the drama, we've had all the build up. Ben coming in aggressive, and he's like he really wanted to do some damage, and people thought, oh, is he going to come in and is he going to go too far into too madly and punch himself out early in the rounds because he really wanted to take Eubank's head off. And Eubank is such a smart guy. It's just like his dad. Like, he knew how to get into Ben's head and really wind him up. And like I said before, I've just checked my notes. I have written this down, but I just want to double check this. So yeah, so Ben had been out for 14 months. He hadn't had a fight for 14 months. I think in that time Eubank had 2 fights, if not definitely one. And yeah, so like I said earlier about that weight, yeah, oh yeah, and the dad turned up. Did we or did we not think he wasn't going to turn up? I thought he was going to be there. Why would he miss it? He's made himself look a bit silly though, hasn't he? Because he was going on about how dangerous it was. His son shouldn't be in there, and rightly so. You know, he said in interviews he lost his brother, so you can understand where Senior was coming from. But he made himself a bit silly being there. But you had that shot when they come out of the lift and he walks out of his dad like it was all staged. Now I thought he was going to be there. I was surprised to see him walk out with his son because of what you'd heard that they hadn't spoken for years and all that. But it was nice to see no matter what, because like Eubank rightly said at the end of the fight, it was him that set that legacy, and it was both their dads that set that legacy for them. So they deserved, he should have been there, and rightly so, they deserved to be there to watch their sons have this fight. Now, it wasn't going to be as big as the dad's fights, because that was for a world title, and that was general first hatred of him. Not so much with Chris Eubank, like I say, he's very smart. He knew how to wind up Nigel, and it was the same for Chris Jr. for Conor. So, yeah, let's get into this fight. So, yeah, so round 1, Ben come out as what you thought. He come out fast. He was more the aggressor, making Chris lose, miss a bit. I had to watch this fight again because I'll get to why that in the end. But when I re-watched this fight, Eubank done a lot better in round 1 than what I thought he did. He did land a lot more, so that was pretty an even round, whereas I had that for Ben. So I gave that as an even round, I'd have to say. So going into round 2, Ben does look wild at times, doesn't he? when he throws his punches, he's a lot like his dad. Like he ducks, we wobbles, and he is really hard to hit. And you could see that in round 2 from Eubank. He was struggling to get to Ben to hit him because of Ben's movement, and Ben was landing more punches for me for that. But also, Eubank was like, was he playing it clever? Was he reserving that energy? Because obviously he had to do the weight cut, and he could only put on 10 pounds on fight day. I don't know what happens after, but he certainly did look a lot bigger than Ben still in that ring. So was Eubank doing what he does best? Was he being a smart boxer and waiting? And he has got the more experience than Ben. Yeah, round 3, Ben wobbles Eubank. He wobbled Eubank, and Eubank was wobbled. It looked a bit hurt, and you're thinking, wow, here we go. Is this going to happen because of the weight? What everyone thinks, is Ben going to go on and stop him? We already didn't. And for those who ain't seen the fight, go and watch it. I'm going to be talking up with what you've watched this fight. I'm sure you'll find it somewhere. So yeah, Ben wobbled, and this is the other thing sort of crossing the mind: was Eubank drained, or was he saving his energy? Because it was up and down all night long for me with that. Was he drained or wasn't he drained? You know. So going into round 4, so this was Eubank's best round for me. He started to catch Ben a lot more, landing his combinations. And for me, I wouldn't say he got his first round, because like I say, I re-watched it, but he did die off for a bit, and Ben was on top of him, and he was struggling with the movement and the up and the down, the bob and the weaving that Conor Ben does. So going into round 4, Ben did catch Eubank, but he didn't have him troubled in that round. Round 5, they met in the middle at one point and had a trade-off. Eubank got more. It was getting more meat behind his, like a bit more aggression, a bit more meat behind his punches going into this round 5. And you look like you thought, right, well, this is his Eubank's time now. Now he's going to show he's well, it's not his natural weight, but he's been at that weight a lot more than Ben. And was he going to start showing that? That's why he had a bit more meat behind his punches. And that was round 5. Another even round for me, really. I got in that one. Round 6. Another round to Ben at this point. So it might have been in the earlier round. I had him winning this fight, I must admit, with Ben so far. The rounds were getting closer, and they were close rounds. It was a close fight all the way through, but I just had Ben nicking it at this point. And that was at the halfway point. And this is probably from, let's have a read the notes. So going into round 7, yeah, Eubank lands a lovely trademark uppercut that he has, and he's got a beautiful uppercut. The way he just steps back, bang, and he gets the full leverage of his arm into that uppercut. But Ben takes it well. Yeah, sorry, just had to read my notes there. There's a bit of jibber jabber, you know, when you're trying to write quick, it ain't written down quickly. So yeah, so for me, was it Eubank, lovely trademark uppercut, another round to Eubank for me. I don't know if it was me, but it looked like Eubank's throwing bigger punches, and it took a bit out of him. This is what I was trying to say earlier. Like, was he up and down with his energy, or was he reserving? You don't know, at times when he'd really put into it, it looked like that took a lot out of him. But then at times you looked like he was sitting there reserving. So maybe he was sitting there reserving for that to go on and throw them big punches. You know what I mean? And like, yeah, and he did look a lot bigger than Ben, like I said. Round 8, Ben comes out firing in this round. They go for it. Strange for Eubank though. Because he went in with his head down like he was an amateur boxer and throwing the wild punches and that. And for me, this is when, for me, I think this is where Eubank turned the fight around for him. And that I'm meaning that he stopped Ben doing the slip and slide and duck and line, because he got on into him a bit. He got up close and got onto him a bit more, didn't he? And this is where Eubank sort of took a bit more control of the fight. But they did have a good trade-off in that one. Round 9, Eubank. Yeah, so Eubank got cut in round 9. He was blinking a bit, but he is a warrior. Say what you like and think what you like about Eubank. He is as tough as they come, and you know, he's just got a solid head. It looks like you could do some real damage on that, on your hand on that head. He just looks solid in that head, and he gets that from his dad. His dad was solid there too. It was solid all over, actually, to be fair. His dad. Yeah, so like I said, he was trying to stop him slipping and sliding. Round 10, Eubank giving digs to the body, trying to stop from Ben from moving and slowing him down. It wasn't so many digs in the body. It had to be the first clear round you could give to one. Excuse me. So first clear round. So yeah, I gave that to Ben, because Eubank was looking tired at this point. So going into round 11, both fighters digging each other, all in the body and to the head, both looking very tired. The power wasn't there, so the power wasn't there. The energy had been drained by this point, and rightly so. They put a lot into this fight. Both fighters, that is. They'd really given it their all. Very close round. That was a very close round for me. It was just one of them tight ones. You don't know where it could go, or it depending what you was looking and watching at that one. So going into round 10, Ben looked wobbled at times, but I say that was more because he was tired. Like, it really put a lot into round 11, and Eubank did go on to win this round for me. He was landing the far better. They both left everything in their ring, and you couldn't have asked more for them, mate. They gave it all. Both fighters really gave it all, and fair play to them. Like I said, they left everything in that ring. Now, to me, I had either a Ben win or a draw. I didn't think Eubank had done enough to win it. It was such a close fight. You could call it from wherever you want, but for me, I didn't think Eubank done enough to win that fight, because of the earlier rounds that Ben had put in and made him miss a lot. But he did come back later on in fights, and then, like I say, used that clever tactic where he stopped Ben being able to do the slipping and moving off and ducking and diving and bobbing and weaving that he does. But they gave it to Eubank, and you know what? You couldn't have asked for more. That was the best fight of the night, and both fighters gave it their all, and fair play to them. That was a great fight. I'm sure we'd like to see it again. Although Eubank looks a lot bigger than Ben, and Ben did give it his all, but did he really have the power? Now, Eubank did have to go to hospital after the fight. I heard in the press conference from Conor Ben, he thought it was a broken jaw. It could have been for the eye, but they left everything in that fight. And it was a great fight, a lot better than what I thought it was going to be, and the respect from both of them come after. Yeah, it's a definitely fight of the evening, and I'd have to say the second fight of the evening was the Billings-Smith fight, because the other ones were alright, but them two were the standout fights to me. So yeah, another great night of boxing. And so I'll come to the end of that one. That's my thoughts on it. Please let me know what you think. Yeah, and I'll be bringing you more on boxing and football and music very soon. Thanks for listening. Please like and subscribe to the channel, and yeah, like I say, I'll be bringing you plenty more. Thank you for listening.